Chapter 461. Katza had completely lost his mind. The psychological hint that Alex had imprinted in his mind was enormously strong, and the same phrase kept replaying in his mind: fill your belly. Fill your belly. The three guys were in great despair. They jumped on him and desperately wanted to pull him away, but he lay on the floor like a mad dog, cursing and eating. The warden finally arrived with a few doctors. Even the doctors who were used to seeing mental patients were frightened by this bizarre scene. They had seen all kinds of mental illnesses, but this was entirely new. This was so ferocious. The doctors hurried forward, dragged Katza from the pile of shit, tied him to a special bed with fixed belts, and pushed him into the hospital. Meanwhile, all the students at the Aarhus University of Finance and Economics were spreading and sharing Katza's horrific video. Many people would vomit on the spot after watching the video, but they suppressed their nausea just to watch the video over and over again. They cheered ecstatically as they watched Katza's miserable encounter. For them, this was his retribution for all the terrible things he had done to the girls. Everyone knew that Katza was insane and that he loved to psychologically manipulate girls, forcing them to self-mutilate or even commit suicide to satisfy his distorted needs. Many people with a sense of justice hated him to the core, but he had been untouchable due to his powerful family background, and so, he had never paid any price for his atrocious actions. In the end, Katza Whale, who liked to use his psychological manipulation in a bad way, had turned into a shocking mental patient himself. Not only was it ironic, but it also relieved the resentment and tension people had on him. It was such a delightful karma. In the meantime, the Whale family's private jet had just landed at Aarhus Airport. Aarhus Hill was not very far away from Sudbury, and it only took about 1 hour by the high-speed rail, hence, there were no direct flights between the two cities. However, it only took the Whale family half an hour to fly over with their private jet. A few Bentley were waiting for them at the hangar. Fury, Edward, and the team of doctors quickly disembarked the plane and got into the cars, heading straight to the Millennium Hospital. The hospital was not far from the airport, so they arrived at the hospital quickly. When they rushed into the hospital, Katza was tied to the bed with a towel stuffed into his mouth, struggling violently. The doctor had had to stuff his mouth with something because he would try to bite his tongue if he couldn't get away. Right then, Katza was like a dog with rabies. He had gone completely mad. Fury was heartbroken when he lay eyes on his son. He charged forward and said, "Katza, I'm here." Katza couldn't recognize his own father, and all he could think of right now was to fill his stomach. He was trying to pull away from the restraints, hence, there were bloody bruises on his ankles and wrists that were bound with belts. Fury was extremely frustrated. He looked at the psychiatric expert that had come with him and demanded, "Hurry, see what is wrong with him." The doctor nodded and said, "Let me give him a sedative first." Then, he immediately took out the syringe and sedative from his bag and gave Katza a shot without hesitation. Surprisingly, the sedative didn't seem to have any effect on Katza. He was still struggling desperately, whimpering as if he was trying to say something but couldn't due to the towel in his mouth. Fury hurriedly asked when he saw the lack of effect, "What's going on?" The doctor was equally clueless. "Mr. Whale, the dosage I gave him was supposed to be able to sedate a cow, but I don't know why it is completely useless on your son."